Hey guys, so today I'm going to be solving a problem from the Jaggia worksheet that Dr. Frame assigned us, and that problem is going to be problem 51. So let's just pull it up right here. And this problem says that more people are using social media to network rather than phone calls or emails. From an employment perspective, job seekers are no longer calling up friends to get help with job replacement, as they can now get help online. In a recent survey of 150 job seekers, 67 said they used LinkedIn to search for jobs. A similar survey of 140 job seekers conducted 3 years ago had found that 58 job seekers had used LinkedIn for their job search. Is there sufficient evidence to suggest that more people are now using LinkedIn to search for jobs as compared to 3 years ago? Use a 5% level of significance for the analysis. So basically, for this problem, we are looking for or at least the null hypothesis for this problem is that the difference between the amount of people who use LinkedIn recently is at least or is about the same as the amount of people who used LinkedIn 3 years ago. And the alternative hypothesis is claiming that the amount of people who are using LinkedIn now is significantly greater than the amount of people who are using LinkedIn about 3 years ago. So I'm going to pull up a document which pretty much has everything kind of already written down. Here's just a summary of the question right here, the whole thing about the 150 job seekers and the 67, all the other little statistics. So the null hypothesis, which is always where we want to start, is P1, which is the recent survey, minus P2 is less than or equal to 0.05. However, the alternative hypothesis is that P1 minus P2 is greater than 0.05. So there is a similar question to this that is on the workbook that Dr. Frame has provided us, the mistaken $100 bill question, which we did in class a few days ago. Basically, we start with computing the standard deviation, which is using this long equation right here and just plugging and chugging. So P1 is the right here. P1 is 0.447. 0.447 times 1 minus 4, or 0.447, which is 0.553, divided by N1, which is the amount of people in P1, which is 150, and then add that to the information from the survey from 3 years ago, which is P1 or P2 being 0.414 times minus 0.414 divided by 58. And if you put that in your calculator, that number should turn out to be 0.0581. And then what you're going to want to do with that statistic is plug it into the z-score right down here, which is pretty much taking P1 minus P2 minus D0, and D0 is the hypothesized difference right here. And in this question, the hypothesized difference is 0.05. So you're just going to want to plug in, 0.447 minus 0.414 minus 0.05 and divide that difference by 0.0581. And that should give you negative 0.2926. And then after that, we are going to want to go to the distribution calculator from JUMP and take our test statistic right here, this test statistic right here, negative 0.29, and plug it into the QA output. And I already have everything set up. The mean, standard deviation doesn't need to be touched. I already set it up so that X is greater than QA. Normally the default is this one right here. So what I'm going to want to do is just plug in that statistic I was just talking about and enter it in. And you're going to see a normal distribution graph right here, but that's not the most important part of this question. It's what we're looking for is the 0.6151 right down here, which is our p-value. And since our p-value is greater than 0.05, we are unable to, I guess, reject the null hypothesis. So our conclusion and our decision is that we fail to reject/retain the null hypothesis, and we cannot conclude, just goes down here, we cannot conclude that the proportion of job seekers who use LinkedIn now is significantly different than the proportion of job seekers who used LinkedIn 3 years ago. So that pretty much does it. It's a pretty simple question and a lot like the mistaken $100 bill question that we did in class. So that's it. Thank you guys for listening, and leave some constructive feedback in the comments. Thank you.